Welcome to Reflector Reflections, the podcast exploring the unique and fascinating world of human design through the lens of being a reflector. I'm Annie Richardson, a 5-1 reflector and passionate mentor navigating this journey alongside you. This podcast is a space to connect, share, and celebrate the stories and wisdom of reflectors and human design enthusiasts alike. Join me as we dive into authentic conversations, uncovering how we embrace and experiment with our designs and the beauty and challenges of living as nine-centered beings. Whether you're a reflector, loved one, or simply curious about human design, this is your space to learn, grow, and feel seen. Welcome. Today's beautiful conversation is back with the amazing David Rahman. He's also, if you remember, from about 18 months ago, he's a fellow 5-1 reflector with the Cross of Refinement. Yeah, it has been like June 2023 we caught up. So you have been, David, welcome. You have been on a little bit of a journey. So I'm really excited to welcome you back and to hear your experiences.
Hi, Annie, and hi, everyone. It's good to be back. And it feels like it was a lifetime ago when we last spoke. So, yeah, I'm excited to catch up as well.
How good does it feel when we've already made that connection and you just come back in and you're not as nervous. Hey, it's just like, oh, there's an old friend, and it shocks you when you realize how long ago it was. But I guess we've kept in touch, so it hasn't been too long.
Yeah, it's nice. And it's one of my favorite things whenever I speak to a reflector. It just feels like there's no pressure. There's just room. There's just room. There's not like, you're not bouncing against anything. So, yeah, it's just nice and comfy.
Have you found that, the more that you step into like the reflector knowledge, like it's when you go and buy a yellow car and then suddenly you see nothing but yellow cars. Have you found that you've met more reflectors since fully embracing you being a reflector?
Um, I think because I follow you online and a couple of other reflectors. It's kind of my algorithm now. Um, and it's interesting. I feel like even though there's less of us, more of us are into the human design and the spiritual world and so on. So uh, I see quite a few reflectors, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah. There's a surprisingly large number of us, isn't there?
Yeah,
1% is still a lot.
it's still a
But they're
lot.
so
It's still
rare.
a good couple of million. Yeah.
Well, take us back. Where were we when we chatted last time? I think you're in those first couple of years of discovering it. You were kind of like paving your way. You were doing a lot of your art, which is beautiful. I'm hoping that you're still doing your art. Where else have you been since then? Take us back, friend.
Yeah. So I discovered human design in 2020, so I'm now in starting my fifth year of the experiment of the deconditioning. Um, yeah, it's been very busy. But as I was saying to you before, I feel like I haven't shared as much as um, it's actually happened in real life. Last time we spoke, just started launching Soul Blueprint Art, which was an artistic interpretation of the chart. And that's been steadily going in the background. However, that's now the second business, and I've just started a third one. So things have kind of shifted priorities, and it's a bit on the back burner. It's due a facelift. I want to go back and redo a lot of it. I feel like when I first created this, I do love the visuals, but the brochures that came along with it, I feel like were the information. It was stuff that I read, and it was more so from a mental level, like just relaying stuff that I was reading. Whereas now I want to go back and rewrite everything through my experience, like my lived experience of each gate, of the profiles, of the incarnation crosses, and so on. I was telling you before, I've been studying with BG5, the Human Design School for Business, and I've really gone a lot deeper into studying and understanding the system. my one line has been dying for for that certainty of just having the research and the facts and being able to dig deep and have that security within myself. And I feel like when I do the uplift for the soul blueprint art, it's going to be very exciting. Still have a pocket of energy ready to go there. For now, I don't know, I'm thinking of just um, suspending the website for a bit and just leaving like a landing page and then doing a launch later on. So apart from that, um, one of the big things that happened was in my art business, I was doing everything I could to grow it. So for people who are not familiar, I have a fine art business, David Roman Art, and in it, I was focused on painting athletes and movement and so on. So as I've done throughout my whole 20s, just following everyone's advice on how to grow your business, going from course to masterclass to another course and just trying everything. And one of the things that seemed to work for a lot of people was working with influencers and like gifting things in exchange for posting and so on. And it just never really worked for me. And the exchange of energy wasn't balanced. I guess it's different if you're doing like, I don't know, t-shirts or stuff that can be made in a factory. That's like, it costs you like $3 to do. And it's like, yeah, no problem. I can write that off. But with art, especially if you gift original art or even fine art prints, the ones that I make are made by a local print shop. It's expensive every time you order something in a small batch. It's always the most expensive. Shipping physical things is expensive. So it was just an uphill grind for me. So after a lot of frustration, I kind of like gave up on it. And then I did this painting of this CrossFit athlete. He was in the top charts at that time. And he found it, messaged me, really wanted a painting. I said, right, I've made all the mistakes before. This time we're making an agreement. So I said, cool. He had a lot of followers and all that. I said, I can send you the painting in exchange for a feed post, 3 stories, XYZ. Yeah, all good. Did it, sent it over. And then I waited. I waited for a few weeks, waited for 2 months. And then I'm messaging him like, because I sent it to the US. Did it get lost in the post or something? Because sometimes it just gets lost on the way. And he was like, oh, no, I posted it like a month ago. And I was like, did you? Where is it? And it's like, yeah. On my YouTube vlog, I mentioned it over there. So I'm like, I never noticed a spike in even traffic at any point. So I go to his YouTube channel, and in one of his vlogs, he's moving house. There's like boxes everywhere. And in one of the boxes, my painting is like thrown in there. He's like, oh yeah, and here's some art. Here's some fan art that a guy from the UK sent me. And I watched that and everything just stopped for me because I couldn't believe that. Well, so many things. Not only did he not uphold his agreement, but the fact that he treated it like it was some fan art, it just really shook me to my core, to the point where, like, for a year after that, I couldn't really paint because the bitterness and the disappointment was so deep. And it just cracked something in me. It was like the last tip of the last cherry on the cake to really set me off. And in my rage, I just couldn't understand how I was doing all this work. If I'm working a full-time job to be able to pay for a studio, to pay for the art. I paid for shipping with my own money. Like, I'm investing, I'm doing all this work that I don't love to be able to support what I like. And do you think I do this because I'm a fan of you? Like, do you think I do all of this because I'm a fan of anyone? It's just insanity. So fast forward to this year. So I've been working in various marketing and web roles for a decade now. I work for all sorts of different brands, big, small, from Sephora to Jaguar Land Rover to all sorts of different functions. And this year I was like, right, I am ready to pull all this knowledge and experience together, and I want to dive deep and get to the foundations of how to be an excellent strategic thinker. So I did one of the best certifications for marketing strategy, and it's been really, really helpful to synthesize all of this experience. But in each of the roles, you sort of have like a very niche approach. But once you get to look at it from a wider perspective, you start to get to the first principles, which once you understand them, you can apply to any business. Um, so that's been really helpful. And something switched in my mind, and I realized that one of my problems before was my positioning, where um, I can't control if somebody's going to hold up their end of the agreement or not. And just for record, I know that it's common for influencers not to do what they agree. So it's nothing personal or special. Like I'm not some
Yeah, but it's
victim
still
case.
shitty behavior, isn't
I
it?
know. Yeah. But it just,
Here's the
for
truth
my
tellers coming out. It's like, fuck that. This is the fifth line. Judgment right there. No. Sorry.
yeah,
I'm
and I
angry for
mean,
you. I'm angry and bitter and
yes,
sad for you.
absolutely. And there's much worse things happening in the world that are breaking people. But in my experience, that was a catalyst for a chain of events.
Yeah.
So this year, my realization was that one of my issues was my positioning, where I can't control how others are doing the work, but I can control how I position myself. And when I enter an agreement or like a working relationship, what my value is, how I communicate that, and how it's perceived. And automatically, if you're clear about that, flaky people will just not engage with you because you just repel them. Um, so that's what I've been focusing on this year, very much like marketing strategy. Recently started marketing consultancy for marketing strategy for personal brands. And I've also been studying with human design for business, trying to bridge the missing pieces in marketing with the personalized approach from human design. So that's been keeping me busy all this time.
What a year. What a year and a half.
Yeah.
What a time.
Yes, so much happened, but it's yeah, I'm taking my wins
Yeah.
and making the most out of it.
Well, and sometimes we can get like that, can't we? It's very much that being overlooked. It's not being recognized. It's not being kind of appreciated for all the effort and the work. And the high road can be, oh, well, I'll just take my wins, but it's still there in the body, it's still this whole like, oof. But I love that your approach there, because it is the best way forward, in a way of going, I can't control anything else, but I can control how I show up. Well, not even control, but I can, be a part of my story and my making, and solidify and get this foundation here solid. So I love that, what you said. And then other people just don't even engage because they're not on your fractal. They're not on that energy flow. They're just not even going to, you're only going to attract, that magnetic monopole. It's going to attract all the things that are for you. So
Yeah,
I do love that.
absolutely. And I just want to clarify that I didn't go from day one heartbroken to day two. I'm
Yeah.
taking the high road. It's been over a year or 2 years of processing and really feeling into a lot of the stories and healing a lot of the wounds and going back into times where I was my work wasn't appreciated or it was discounted or I discounted myself. And so a lot of the work has been recognizing these feelings that I get when you enter an exchange where the value doesn't feel right. Initially you feel like your inner child like screaming, and before I felt like, oh, I'm just nervous, to interact with this person, but really it's about your inner child begging not to betray them, not to sell them cheap. So a lot of it has been building that awareness and making a pact with myself like that. Don't worry, I'm never going to allow for this to happen. I mean, I can't control it, but can't control everything. But consciously I'm not going to allow to be taken advantage of or enter exchanges that are not equal or balanced.
Mm. And that's huge, absolutely huge. Yes, and that takes time, doesn't it? And it's
Yeah.
still like for all of us, we have our own woundings and we can kind of like move from them, but they're still there sometimes tugging. But I love that
Oh
that
yeah.
awareness. That's true healing, isn't it? The acceptance and the awareness that this is a where it's coming from. Huge. That's huge for you.
Hmm.
And I'm sure in a way it's really expanded you from having that, as traumatic as that is, it's expanded this whole sense of self of David to go, I'm kind of stepping forward a little bit more confidently and knowing who you are a bit more.
Yes, absolutely. And stepping even more into my gate 19, which is my conscious sun. And it is all about healthy independence. So going from codependence, and a lot of this codependence is coming up in a creative process where you need a reaction from the audience. You need work to be received well. There's one thing to want it.
Yeah.
It's something else when you need it, because when you need it, you create from a different place. You interact with people from a different place. So yeah, it's been a lot of maturing of this 19 gate which at the beginning I could not wrap my head around. I was like, how do you have your conscious sun, which is all about like beaming and going out there and shining, as being like a passive, sensitive, you know, um, sensitive thing, um, archetype. Um, but yeah, lo and behold, life is showing me one way or another what it means.
And I love that as well because I've always it's you were sharing there before about with this the solpreneur of how you kind of intellectualized a lot of the gates and things like that. It's very much the same when you first get into human design, or when you look at your incarnation cross, or even sun, like with you and your son. I'm the
Mm,
same with mine. It's been like these years of unraveling to go, what does that actually mean for me and
yeah.
how I show up? Because you read these, don't you? And you're like, okay, well,
Mm,
that's the gate of wanting, and that's the gate of the storyteller. What is it? Let's go to stimulation. What is, oh yeah, that's right. That is me. And so we apply that. We apply that what other people say about something. So it's really, like biased in a way of not really our lived
mm,
experience of that, or what we feel is that. And we're not trying to change anything. We're not trying to change the I Ching, but it's kind of like, well, how do I show up? How does that influence me and all these other things that I have in my using human design, in my body graph or in my chart? So that takes time, and I think we can appreciate that now. That's why um, the human design and the deconditioning journey, reconditioning, it's a lifelong process. I don't
yeah.
think you can just get it all in a year or two, or even the studies that you've done and I've done as well. I'd love your thoughts on this, because even that, it's someone telling you something, and it's
Mm,
great because it's laying a foundation. But then what do you do with it? You know?
hmm. Yeah. And especially as reflectors, where other types, especially if your incarnation cross, your conscious sun is in a defined function, that's something that's consistent for you. But for us, these life themes are not consistent, right? So they've been triggered by people, by transits, by different things, isn't it? So how do you interact with this? It's different than someone who has in a defined function, for whom it's like a constant, like hum in the background, is like a constant theme. So for us, it's even more complex, I think, and it's even more nuanced in how it's showing up. And the
Mm.
best thing about the studying I found is the group chats, where when you're passively consuming information, so you could read the same source material and it's like, yep, yep, makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. But then when you have 10 different people discussing the same thing from their experiences, and then all these things conflict with each other, like, yeah, I have this gate, but I have this profile, but I have this channel, but I have this circuit. And how does one, and then this level is like one is takes priority over other, and then based on everyone's life experiences, s- some things are prioritized over others. So it's not as clean cut. And I remember when I first was reading the gates, I was like, what gate is it? And what does it mean, like career wise? Like, what career applies to this gate? And now I look at it from such a different perspective. But everything is valid, of course. Every step of the journey is valid. One is no better than the other. It's just interesting to be a few years further on this journey to like have that perspective of different ways to see it.
Yeah. How is that experience for you being, you're sharing there before, the work that you're doing and things like that. How's that experience been as you unfold? Let me get my words here. They're coming. I'm like, blah, blah, I'm just about to blat and I'm like, breathe, Annie.
Yep.
The experience of studying human design. So it's like you and I have got opposites here. So I was very much working. And when I started studying, it's like over these years, these 6 years, I've kind of been able to slow down my work. Whereas
Mm.
just you and I sharing privately off air, I won't go into it too much. But for you, it was more kind of gone the opposite way where you've been studying and you've kind of had to pick up work or are picking up work. And for me, it's like as I was studying more and more and as I was kind of shedding more of those layers, it was harder and harder for me to kind of step into that busy business kind of like, what you were saying there before about marketing and stuff, what everyone says, do this, do that, do this in your business. It's just like, it doesn't work for me. But for you, it seems like it's the opposite way. Could you share how that's felt for you? Because for my lived experience, it's been incredibly difficult to
Mm.
embody my design, embody who I am. And I just can't now do like such a big job anymore. Yeah.
Well, my fifth line has a lot to say on this subject.
Yeah, good.
Um, so many layers to this.
Yeah.
One is one thing that I want to get out of the way and just like slam everyone over the head with is that you can do whatever. Can I cuss?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
You can do whatever the fuck you want. Whatever design, profile, type, whatever the hell it is, you're a human being, an eternal soul in a human body with free will. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I was in a class last week or the week before, and this woman was saying, I'm a fourth line and I'm starting this business. And I can't be on social media because I'm a fourth line and I need to go to networking events. And how am I going to grow my business? And I'm just like, I want to pull my hair out when I hear people take snippets of human design and actively create limiting beliefs or sabotaging behaviors for the businesses because I can't do this. You can do whatever the hell you want. Like, this is your permission slip. Do whatever you want. And side note, everything works. Whatever you want to do works. Instagram works. LinkedIn works. Cold emailing, cold DMing, doing door to door sales calls, whatever the hell you want to do, low ticket, high ticket, group, whatever the fuck you want to do, it works. If it works for one person, it works for it works, period. So that's out of the way. You can do whatever you want. Now, is it sustainable for you? Where are you in your life? What's your design as a whole? Not just your type, not just your profile. Take your design as a whole and what is sustainable for you because everything works. So, you, Annie, right now, some things may be sustainable for you, some may not. You are in a cycle in your life, you've done certain things, you want different things. So, based on that, you can't just take an aspect of human design and be like, nope, I can't do this, or like, I'm done with this, or whatever. So, just because you're a non-energy being doesn't mean that you can't do anything in your life. It doesn't mean that you can't market. It doesn't mean that you can't grow your business. So I just want to make that very clear. And you know what? Here's the thing. Wouldn't it be lovely to have the world and society bow to our feet and mold to our design and be like, you're a reflector. Here's a community on a silver platter. Come into the center of our community and be a cherished reflection. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
Very
Unfortunately,
boring.
sometimes you need to work yourself out of a situation, or you need to make things happen, whatever your design is. Um, both my parents are projectors. My mom gave birth to 9 children. My dad worked very physical, like in a bakery, in warehouses, in very physical, labor-intensive jobs. Both worked themselves to the bone. They're projectors. Do you think my mom could wake up in the day and be like, I can't cook for these 9 kids today because whatever, like I've not been
Need a nap.
invited, or yeah, I run out of my energy of 4 hours. I can only work 4 hours a day. It's just mental. It's just people creating limiting beliefs for themselves. Where human design comes into place is, first of all, it's a tool. It's not a religion. It's not the Bible. You don't need to worship it. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can use it to make your life easier. So use it to make your life easier, not to make limitations for yourself. Um, what I've realized is, being a reflector, I have about 3 to 4 hours every day of premium energy. Premium energy means I can, something's not working, these ads are not working, this landing page is broken. I need to, whatever, it's some like I need to exert myself mentally. I've got about 4 hours of that. Rest of the day, I can do admin tasks. I can, do stuff around the house. So what it's done for me is brought awareness to where my energy levels are and my energy patterns. And for example, like sometimes I have days where I was doing like client reports. So I had like 3 big meetings, projecting a lot of energy, sharing, being in charge. For 2 days after that, my energy is fried. So I can't form sentences. So it's an awareness of um, I run out of my premium energy quite quickly. I still have energy to do other stuff. Not everything requires premium energy. I learned to prioritize and bring systems into my workflow. And yeah, that's about it. It can still goes with difficult or busy times, whatever your energy type is. I'm gonna get
Fifth
off my
line
tent.
right there. I'm just grinning and I'm laughing this up, going, there you go. There's the fifth line coming right out. I don't know. That's put in the box, but it's true. It's like, here it is. This is how it is. And I love that. Thank you so very much, because it's so true. And I'm the same. Premium energy, that's going to be my tag now. I know how that feels. I have good space of time where I'm just like, bang, the brain's switched on. I'm ready to action things that are complicated. But then it's just like, ooh, but it wanes. It wanes throughout the cycle. And that's totally
Exactly.
fine too. You know
Yep.
what I'm hearing and I love so much is your focus on limitations, because your north node is in your north, both your north nodes are in 60 and your south nodes are in 56. So I've got obviously my sun in 56 and my earth in 60. So this year especially, I've been very much mindful of this 60. I don't know why. It's
Yes.
been really coming into my field and I can't shake it. I've actually been reaching out to a couple of other cross of distractions to go, how are you navigating this 60? Like how are you feeling into this limitations? So I'm listening to that going,
Yeah.
there it is again. It's just around me right now. And it might have been because, we have transitioned out.
Yep.
And it's kind of like
Pluto.
it's maybe that's just something that I'm starting to really feel. I don't know. But yeah. Like, you're
Yeah.
not those in limitations, and you're like, stop putting limitations on yourself. And I'm like, preach.
Yeah. And Pluto has been transiting gate 60, and everyone's been like feeling like collectively we felt 2024 was such a slow grind, whatever you were trying to do, everything which is like limiting, and with all the emotional turmoil and everything else going on in the world, it's just putting more limitations on the context in which we're working, and we're feeling it absolutely. um yeah, limitations. I have to say it took me a long time, but towards the end of 2024 and now moving into 2025, it became so clear for me that I need to just give up on any sort of idea of a quick fix, or like sometimes I would buy like a lottery ticket or just like random stuff like that for fun. And in the back of your mind, you think maybe if this would be like how we would look, or even in work, in art as well, like doing things off the cuff or like trying to quickly improvise something. And I've just got this message of just rip this thought of quick fixes out of your mind. Like, you're not here for quick fixes. You need to learn to work with limitation and use it, instead of being a victim of it, to use it to make yourself a weapon. And I understand that's not everyone's journey at all. A lot of people have an easy life or have different things that they need to experience. If you have 60 in a prominent place in your chart, I invite you to consider just deleting any thought of getting a quick fix, a big jump, a big reward for a small entry price. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and I will agree with that. Bypassing all structures, but not bypassing. It's actually having to push through a lot of structures and then not get caught in the structures within the structures within the structures. Everything is a structure. Everything has a limit. And so that's been my epiphany just this year, and that's of just going, oh. Again, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's just like when we start to tap into these energies a bit more and how they show up for us and get more of a true understanding of it. Wisdom, wisdom and awareness. It's like, it's not just here. It's kind of a combination.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere. I love that. So where are we at now? Where are we going? Where are you at now? Where are you going now? Where are we in this now moment of David sitting here right now? Taken such a lot of training. I can't begin, mate.
Yeah, get me out of the classroom. I'm done being a freaking library rat. I want to get out into the world. Where I'm at right now, I'm experiencing an awareness. I feel like the fog has been lifted a little bit of what it means to be a reflector. Because when we come into this, everyone's saying the same three things, like you're special and you're the 1% and you're, whatever, reflecting. And none of it means anything, because someone telling you you're special and you're 1%, I mean, unless you're going on an ego trip, for most of us, it's just like, what do I practically do with being special? So the point that I'm at now is starting to feel more in my body the role of the reflector, and it's showing up probably in the most obvious way in my art, where I'm feeling a massive pull to reflect the world that we're in now. So previously my art had been about movement and excellence in sport, in movement and so on. And looking back now, I realized that the silver lining, the one thread across all these different phases, was my obsession with genius and what it looks like when spirit activates or like breaks through the form, which, if you step back far enough, really is, that's our purpose as humans, is to embody spirit in a physical form. And for me, genius and moments of flow is when this shows up, where it's like you're used to working up to this level, and then something happens and the magic comes through, whether it's in sports, dance, any sort of way. It's just, for me, sports are a visual way to actually see this. So it was just an interesting subject. So my calling now, I just feel very strongly that my role right now is to reflect this moment in time and what it means to be a human today. And especially with AI coming along and taking over a lot of the work that we're doing, it just it makes us as human think, well, where do we fit into the world? Because up until now it was like working and doing things and being productive, and that's taken off the plate much more efficiently. So what makes us human? So really that's the question like I'm here to reflect right now, like what makes us human? And what I'm trying to capture in my art is what makes us human is the fact that we can channel divine energy, we can embody our souls, our uh, higher selves into these physical bodies and heal and um, transform ourselves and evolve. And what does that look like? So quite a big jump from my previous branding was as a sports artist. So I kind of understand how some of the stuff could have been mistaken as being, sports fan art, which it wasn't. But this is where I'm at right now. I feel I feel a responsibility to play my role as a mirror of what it means to be human today, right now. And at the same time, also with this consulting business that I'm doing, helping people tap into their uniqueness and being able to communicate that to the marketplace. Um, how they are special and unique and how they can help people in the unique way. Because it's like a million coaches and even human design practitioners, we all learn the same material, but we all bring it to the world in a different way based on our um, uniqueness. And for a lot of people, especially reflectors, it's very hard to look inwards, to reflect inwards, and be able to articulate these things. So I've brought in some of my marketing experience to build frameworks and processes around this. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Um, yeah, I'm gonna stop there. There's more that I wanted to say, but I'll put a pause there.
Just pin that for a bit. It's such a unique lived experience, and I love that. I've really been feeling into that as well. I really love what you were saying there about, reflecting this now. Like I always talk about now moments, because I know, like from a psychology point of view, when we're constantly looking in the past or we're looking in the future, we're not present. We're not actually here. We're not, and one of those existential crisis moments where I sit here and go, what if just being was enough, And people, often it gets thrown, oh, well, that doesn't pay the bills. And it's like, I know, but there's also a part of me that always feels my role as a reflector, just me honoring me ripples out to everybody else. And it's sometimes I think, oh, that's a bit washy, but I can't deny that the more work I do, I say work loosely and lovingly, but there's more times that we sort of sit with ourselves, drop in, get out of everybody else's way, release the pressure, release all this fucking shit that happens up here, and just kind of like honor us. And it's like this hum comes out and it's magnetic. Like, and the more I step into that, the more people, what you were saying right at the beginning there about, it's like tire kickers. You don't have tire kickers around you anymore. You start attracting quality people. You start attracting quality clients. And when I say quality, people that want to work with you. I'm just going now off on a little tangent there, because what just dropped in was, and it's labeling in a way, but you've got pure individual circuitry, a lot of individual circuitry in your design.
Massively.
I'm more collective. And I love how this shows up. Like, this has been a dance for me over the last couple of years of how that shows up. But also with that fifth line and how it shows up for me, I'd love to hear from you too, is working for long periods of time really doesn't serve them or me. that shows out too. It's like I'm here to, and I hear it in you. It's just going, oh my God, David, I need you. I need you to call up all the time and just sort me out, because that's the energy I get. And I'm like, yes, bring that to people. Just here's practical solutions. This is the ways that you can do this. Bang, bang, bang. It's just like off you go. Have you found
That's
that?
exactly, yes, 100%, yes. And a side note, when I started learning about circuitry, I was like, oh, like, what does it mean? Like, how do you actually use it? Like, where does it come into play? And now, I mean, like, it's so big. Like, it's just such a big theme that plays in people's life. Um, Fifth line, 100%, get in, get out. Get in, get the job done, get out. This new work that I'm doing, it's 3 sessions. Like, we work in 3 sessions, you're done. Within a month, you have your positioning done. You've got all your documents in place. You're going your merry way. We're checking in a month later to see how it's going. Good luck. Like, I don't have the energy to hold people, to like build a community where I'm, doing 2 lives a week and I'm there. I just know I'm here. Fifth line, especially as an individual circuitry, get in, provide a solution as quick as possible, and get out. And every job and every situation where I've overstayed my welcome, it always turns sour. And on another um, trap with the fifth line is to add secondary solutions. So, for example, I'm a human design, but I can also, babysit your child, and I can also build your website, and I can also do this. And realistically speaking, like, especially having worked in marketing, anyone who's worked in marketing knows it's like 100 skills. Like, I've built websites, I've done SEO, I've done this. The tendency, especially as a fixed line, is I can help you, I can help you with this, I can help you with this, I can help you with this. And that's the biggest trap. Just stick to your zone of genius, provide the one solution to you excellently, and just get out. Don't muddy the waters. It doesn't work for us. Trust me.
Such sage advice. And speaking of sage advice, would you like to share your experience, like for people listening, from where you were, for where I was all those years ago, as we journey through this, for reflectors, for anybody listening to this, just sharing this experience, this lived experience from your lens now. David sitting here today.
With what? Sorry.
Oh, with human design. Like how
Oh, human design.
share your pearls of wisdom now.
The wisdom. Two things I would say. Coming from an evangelical Christian background growing up, and obviously I was a black sheep of everything. I have an aversion and a very strong reaction to a dogmatic approach to anything. And you just see so many times where people come out of one dogmatic area, whether it's Christianity or whatever, they come to this spirituality thing and they still have the same mindset. I mean, you're using different words and different systems, but it's the same approach of this is good, this is bad, this is the way, this is the rule, this is the book, this is the right teacher, this is the wrong teacher. And I just want to shake people. And I see this a lot in human design, where there's people who are worshipping Ra and like just being so anal about this is by the book, this isn't. But technically speaking, when this gate and this color and this tone and this, it just making it a new religion, and it's annoying. So that was one. I forgot what the other point I was going to make.
It's okay, because that was a good one.
Yeah, but basically, human design is a tool, and ultimately, you own your personal power. You channel source from within, and you can have other people help. You can absolutely have teachers, guides, mentors, tools, but you don't need them. You don't need to give your power to anything else, including human design. That's the last point I wanted to make. It's a tool. It's as good as you make it. And if it helps you, good. If it doesn't, don't use it.
I love that.
Yeah.
And bringing in what you were saying there earlier about regardless of type, regardless of anything, you can do whatever the fuck you want because, often people often say to me, "Oh, but you're a reflector. How are you doing all those things?" Because it brings me joy, because it makes me happy, and because I have energy for it. So yeah, I 1000% agree with that. Do whatever the fuck you want, as long as it lights you up and you've got energy for it. I think even us, it's just like if something feels good and you're channeling that life force energy of that, and I'm not talking about sacral life force energy, I'm just talking about if that's in alignment with you, absolutely, you're going to be able to keep going with things. So yeah, that's perfect.
Right. And I just wanted to make one more point that I remembered about being in this world as a reflector, how important it is to create a space to just reflect within yourself and create a space to process things. Yeah, definitely don't, not to be underestimated. I'm not advocating for burnout, for just hustle. Absolutely not. And when you were asking me before about my approach to doing all this stuff, I believe in sustainable working, sustainable business. And as long as it's sustainable for you, do it.
Beautiful. What a year.
I'm gonna get off my TED talk stage
No,
now. I feel
I
like
love
I've been
it.
fifth lining left, right, and center.
I've been poking the bear there. I was just like, yep. If you ever watch this back, you'll see how much I'm grinning because I'm like, I love it. I really do. And I love that spiciness that we can, it's literally the truth telling of just going, ah, here you go. Here's how it's going to be. The judge comes in and I watch it and I'm like, I love that because I have that too. It's like, righto, this is what I'm going to say. and, um,
Yes,
and there's been,
yes,
again, there's probably times in your life where we've been limited. Someone sort of said, "Oh, don't say that. No, you keep your opinions to yourself." And so, we've kind of been suppressed. And it's like a part of it is to have judgment. A part of our design is to come out and go, no. And if we don't honor that, it's just like it seeds inside, that whole like, oh, it makes me just want to slap them around. So I love
yeah,
it when the fifth line, again, I know that I'm, putting in a box, but it's very apparent when you see it in action. It's just like, there it is.
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with judgment. I actually use a different word for it, which is critical thinking. So there's one thing to judge people in terms of like placing things above and higher or lower, right or wrong, or this is right. No, it's using critical thinking. And again, coming from an evangelical background where critical thinking was just like the entry price to fit into anything, like abandoning your critical thinking. I mean, it's my most prized possession now. So always use critical thinking. It's not judgment. It's use what you've got up here.
Yeah. Well said. Well
Yep.
said. Well, how can people with this new work that you're doing, because I tell you what, so many people could benefit from this, from fifth line practical ways of doing things. How can people get in touch with you? How can they work with you? Share a little bit more about this new endeavor that you're on.
Sure. So this is relevant if you have a business. My way of doing things is particularly relevant if you're more advanced in your business. So if you've never created content, never made a sale, it's probably not for you. If you find just following generic advice, go for it, put in the reps, learn the game. If you're at the point where you're making the money, you're getting the sales, but it just feels like you keep attracting either the wrong people, a variety of people, out of which only a section are relevant to you, or you want to reduce the grind, the volume it takes to reach your goals. I put together a free training, my 3-step framework to clarify your genius and own your niche. It's available at yourgenius.co. And yeah, just put in an email, watch the training, and if you want to work with me after, fine. If not, there's enough in there for you to take and use actually in your business. And if you're on social, I just started a new LinkedIn account, David Roman, and a new Instagram account called David Reflects. And that's about it.
I love that. Starting fresh. How good does it feel?
Yeah, it's always exciting to start something new.
Yeah, it is. Well, I have loved this chat with you. Thank you so much for sitting in space with me, for you just being you. And what a year and a half it's been, friend. She is. And I know we haven't even gotten into even most of it. This is just very, very superficial layers here. But thank you so much for coming back on. And I look forward to our next chat and how this is all gonna flow out.
Sure. Thank you so much, Annie. Thanks for everyone who listened. And thank you for the work you do in the world. Throughout this time, Annie, whenever I came across you on Instagram, it's always a ray of sunshine. It always feels like I can exhale and it feels like everything's fine in the world. So I really appreciate your work and you're making a beautiful impact. So definitely keep going.
Thank you. It was lovely. Oh. All right. Well, I'll talk
Let's
to you
bask
soon.
in the reflector energy. Cool. Talk to you later.
I'll stop.